DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hi there, folks. Welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. I'm tickled to death that you joined us today for the show. We're going to talk about cattle handling and cattle facilities, and it's something that we do on a day in and day out basis in the beef industry. I hope it's a good show. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn something. And I always do whenever I'm out working at different facilities, working with different cattle and working with different people. Thanks for joining us today on DocTalk, and I'll see you right here after the break.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America, a place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, where I'm a professor, and I also direct the Beef Cattle Institute. And usually I have a guest, but every once in a while I fly solo here on the show, and today you're stuck with me. But I think we'll get along all right, as we're going to talk about something that I have a big passion for, which is low-stress cattle handling. And this is one of those things that I learned a lot from my dad. I learned a lot from my grandfather as working in their veterinary practices, learning from different producers and cowboys and hands. There are also people that go around the country, Kurt Pate, Tom Knopfsinger, Temple Grandin, Kip Lucas Savage, Bud Williams. All are people who teach low-stress cattle handling out there in the field. We also have people like John Mulhagen down at Silencer that are producing chutes, Danny Daniels up in Nebraska that has the Daniels system, and Bud Box and Snake and Tub, and all of the people working together with producers to continually improve low-stress cattle handling. Now, animal rights groups use animal abuse incidents to drive animal welfare legislation, and a lot of times we try to mix these terms around and confuse people, but animal welfare is so different from animal rights. Animal rights is the belief that animals have the same rights as humans, and I just simply don't believe that. Animal abuse is something nobody wants to see happen to an animal, and matter of fact, it's a crime. And number three, animal welfare, well, that's what we do every day. That's doing the chores, that's preventative medicine, that's providing nutrition, that's the human-animal bond interaction. And when we talk about animal welfare, the 5 guiding principles from the Food Animal Welfare Commission come from the 5 freedoms are freedom from thirst and hunger for our domestic animals, freedom from discomfort, which is our pen conditions and cattle comfort, freedom from pain, injury, and disease, and this is that veterinary client-patient relationship, the freedom to express normal behavior. Can they stand up, lie down? Can they seek shade? Can they move around in the pen? Different things to that nature. And the last one is the freedom from fear and distress. And the freedom from fear and distress is really that human-animal interaction. And so how do we interact with the animals, and specifically how do we move them around? Now, there are some new audits and assessments that have come out. The big ones that we're going to utilize that are kind of the gold standard of the industry are called the assessment tools from the Beef Quality Assurance Program, and you can find those on the website at www.bqa.org. And there's a cow-calf assessment, BQA assessment, there's a stocker BQA assessment tool, and there's a feedlot BQA assessment tool. All the assessment tools incorporate things such as, do you have best management practices for antibiotic residue avoidance, injection site castration, dehorning, many of the painful procedures, are you being trained appropriately? They also ask things such as, are you a plan for emergency action if we have too big a snowfall or rainfall or heat stress, all these things that improve animal welfare. But the one thing they also include is a live animal handling section. And as we're going to go away to break, and as we come back, we'll start to delve into the Beef Quality Assurance Assessment Tool and talk a little bit about the aspects that they have for beef cattle handling and some of the things that they're looking at that you can objectively score your beef cattle handling at your operation. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. We're going to take a break and more Doc Talk after this.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Lindsay Borst was recently awarded the Merck Animal Health Student Recognition Award. Raised in Minnesota, Lindsay's passion for veterinary medicine started early. Her mother is a mixed animal veterinarian. Lindsay's interests lie in protocol development and employee training. And after graduation, she plans to practice dairy medicine and stay involved in her husband's dairy farm.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher. Get the new hired hand for yourself or become a distributor. Visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news. Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
This segment is brought to you by Norbrook Laboratories, manufacturers of Enroflox 100, the newest addition to your arsenal for treating bovine and swine respiratory disease.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here from Kansas State University. I got the K-State purple on, and very thankful for the opportunities that Kansas State University has given me and the opportunity that Farming Unlimited and DocTalk have given me to be able to spend time with y'all on these very important issues. At least they're important to me, and I hope that they are to you as well. But we're pretty lucky to be in the business of the beef business. And when we start to look at this BQA feedlot assessment, and whether it's feedlot, stock, or a cow-calf, we're going to use the same type of objective measures to measure your cattle handling proficiency with any of the three. And it's how do you use driving aids like hot shots, and how often do you use them? Are cattle falling down upon release? Do cattle stumble or trip? Do the cattle vocalize prior to a procedure being done? So are they miscaught in the chute? And if they are miscaught in the chute, you have to readjust. And the big miscaught is if you catch them by the temples, we're going to release, let their head come through, and catch them appropriately. If you don't release them and re-catch them, that's an automatic fail of the assessment. And the last one is, are the cattle running or jumping, exiting the chute? And everybody always asks, oh man, you mean cattle can't run exiting the chute? No, what I'm saying is they can lope out of the chute, but we don't want to see over 25% of them with the tails up, sprinting out of the chute. Somebody did something bad to me back here, so I'm trying to get away from it out here type of a deal. So the NCBA, the Beef Quality Assurance Assessment Tool, has what we call acceptable levels or tolerance levels for these types of activities. And I'll just go through these as no more than 10% of the cattle can be touched with an electric prod or a hot shot, okay? No more than 2% of the animals can fall exiting the chute. And when I see cattle fall exiting the chute, generally they're coming out of the chute onto a slick surface, and we're asking them to make a quick right turn or left turn. And when they turn, after 2 or 3 of them start to get a little bit of a sheen on the ground, will get those cattle, their feet to come out from underneath them, and they'll fall. So straight out exit is always good. And if it's not going to be a straight out exit, having sand, gravel, or some sort of base or rubber matting that allows those cattle to get a grip and move. No more than 25% can run. Again, that's tails up, sprinting out of the chute. And no more than 4% of the cattle can vocalize. Now this is before we castrate or dehorn or ear tag. And most of the time when we have cattle vocalize in the chute, they've been miscaught. And what I mean by miscaught is that they're crooked in the chute. And if you'll just let off the sides, let them adjust and stand up, they'll quit vocalizing and they'll be fine. As we move through the facilities, and one of the things that people need to understand, that moving cattle to the chute is about as important as will elicit the reaction of the cattle exiting the chutes. But as cattle exit the chute, we can tell a lot about how they were handled prior to the chute. And what we're going to do in the next segment is we're going to go through a series of pictures looking at cattle and different things that you can do to help cattle flow through a facility to the squeeze chute, which will decrease your scores on the farm on when you do this BQA assessment as they're exiting the chute. You're watching Doc Talk. We're tickled to death that you joined us. We're going to be back after the break. Thank you.
Say this is a calf that's been run through the chute a few too many times. Going through the chute stresses cattle, causing them not to eat like they should. Luckily, Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ provides proven protection against key respiratory diseases in a single shot, with just one trip through the chute. Talk to your veterinarian about Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, and soon your calves will relax and eat like a whole different animal.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net. Beef producers asked for it, and Norbrook delivers. Introducing new Enroflox 100, the newest addition to your arsenal for treating bovine respiratory disease. Enroflox 100 is an FDA-approved, ready-to-use injectable antimicrobial solution to treat BRD associated with Mannheimia hemolytica, Pasteurella multocida, and Histophilus somni in beef and non-lactating dairy cattle. Administered SQ as a multiple-day therapy. Consult with your veterinarian today about Enroflox 100, the new choice. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
True Test Group, weighing systems, electronic identification, EID, electric fencing, and dairy automation systems help farmers and ranchers around the world manage the performance of their livestock for ultimate profitability.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. We're talking about the Beef Quality Assurance Assessment Tool, and we've talked about some of the parameters that we're going to measure when we judge low-stress cattle handling. Now I want to talk about a few things that can help you flow cattle through the chute a little bit better. One of the behaviors that cattle elicit or exhibit is they prefer to move from areas of dark to light, not light to dark. And so one of the trouble areas of moving cattle into a facility is when we go from the outside to the inside of a building. And things that you can do to transfer and prevent shade or areas on the ground to not spook cattle or balk them to have them come back on top of you are always good to do. Now, cattle aren't afraid of shade, but when they're worried about you or somebody else moving them around and they catch shade or a change in light outside, it can cause cattle to balk, and it's something that you need to pay attention to, as we can see in this picture. The inside of a working facility, as explained to me by Dr. Temple Grandin, should be lit similar to what the outside looks like on a cloudy day. So, as we can take a look at this picture here in this slide, we do some things such as putting these vinyl panels and different types of see-through panels into the ceilings and into the walls, and we try to bring in some natural light into these working facilities or into clinics. Just makes it a more enjoyable place to work. It makes it an easier transition from outside to inside for cattle, and it doesn't hurt too bad as a person to either to be in there with a little bit more of natural light and natural environment. One thing that makes cattle very anxious is not having very good footing. And you will increase the stress rate and decrease the ability of cattle to move effectively in a system if we don't have proper footing. Whether it's a tub or whether it's an alleyway, when cattle are on ice or on slick surfaces, they really have heightened awareness, and they are more difficult to move and they're more anxious. So one of the things that we look at, and I will inspect, whether it's in the lead-up alley or whether it's in the tub or whether it's in the snake or whether it's the alley exiting the chute, I'm always looking for ways to make sure that we have traction on the floor, whether it's grooves in the concrete, and generally we do 1.5 by 1.5 grooves in 8-inch diamonds on floors, as you can see in this picture, or we're going to use rubber matting. Or we may use something like dirt or gravel if it's an outdoor facility. All of these can be adequate for footing on the cattle. But when we have just bare concrete that starts to get some manure or urine on it, or water or ice, it can cause some trouble with cattle movement. When cattle come into a working tub, two of the bigger issues that we see, one is the tub needs to be the same width as the alley that's coming to the tub. If we have a 12-foot alley, we need to have a 12-foot entrance to the tub. If we have a 10-foot wide alley, we need to have a 10-foot. When we start to taper that towards the entrance to the tub is when we'll have trouble with cattle coming to a point, turning around and balking on us. The other one is the angle in which the cattle enter the tub. And basically, as you can see from this picture that was drawn by Temple Grandin, if the cattle are coming in from a point where they are almost returning from the direction in which they came, they don't turn around. And for human safety, when you're grabbing that gate, the only thing that you're seeing is the tails of the cattle. If the tub comes straight into a bottleneck, you'll have those cattle turn around. You'll have cattle coming back on top of you, and that can be a huge danger issue. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the bud box and moving cattle through the snake. We appreciate you watching DocTalk. Thanks for joining us.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
Hello folks, this is Dr. Nels Lindberg with Animal Medical Center and Production Animal Consultation out of Great Bend, Kansas. Today's BQA Tip of the Day, we're going to visit about branding these cattle. Branding is a common procedure done throughout the United States and the world, but it's very important that we do the best we can to do that brand efficiently and in a timely manner. These cattle here turned out on right. We often brand these sort of cattle when they're turned out of confinement, so that if something happens, they get spooked, they get out, we have a means of identification of those animals for that producer. There's many different producers out there. They all have their different brands, but again, the important thing when we are branding these cattle is to have adequate restraint and to be able to do that brand in a timely manner. We want to make sure our brands are functioning properly, whether it's electric or if they're still being fired by propane or wood. We want to make sure that brand is good and hot so that we use the minimum amount of time to brand those animals. Again, adequate restraint and a properly functioning brand are keys to successfully branding cattle in a good and proper manner for that animal. Thank you.
It must be an inherited trait because I have never wanted to do anything other than be in the cattle business. And it's interesting as I have grandchildren now, little bitty ones. All they want to do is go to the barn, swing a rope, and be a cowboy. It's something. It's a lifestyle that we have, the way we make a living, obviously. But it's really more than that. It gives us the opportunity as a family to be able to work together and enjoy each other's company and make a living at the same time. We've been using Triangle for years, and the reason we do it has been safe and effective, and we're going to continue to do that. We'll put the cows in the chute twice a year, spring and fall. 100% of our cattle get vaccinated with Triangle.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help? How can we help?
Working your cattle just got easier. Introducing the new VetGun delivery system, a new way to apply topical insecticides to your cattle. The VetGun lets you remotely treat cattle with effective parasite control, so you can do it just walking among the herd. It's that simple. The proven topical insecticide AML VetCap is used with the VetGun. It works fast to control horn flies and lice while minimizing stress on your cattle. Fast, easy, effective. VetGun. Check with your animal health supplier for availability.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here from Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. We just talked about tubs, and there's another way of crowding cattle or moving cattle into the snake at the point of the chute when we're working them, and that's called a bud box. And here's a diagram of a bud box, and you can see that this is basically a bud box if you're using panels. It's 2 panels long, 1 panel wide, 2 panels long, and then you have a catch panel here in the middle. But it's just an extension of the alley, and these are open-sided fences and gates if you're going to use them. And what we do is we'll bring the cattle into the bud box. Rule number 1, you can never bring more cattle into the bud box than what you can fit in your snake. And this has been taught to me by Dr. Tom Knopfsinger, so I can't really take credit from this, but I'm going to pass it on to y'all from him. So as the cattle come into the bud box, we're going to catch this gate and shut it right here at the point of the snake, okay? And we catch this gate, and then we're going to park ourselves or our horse right here where this blue dot is. From that point forward, we're going to move towards the cattle, and the cattle will come out of this end, and they will come around the person or the horse, and they will go right into the snake. And I have an example here of utilizing this bud box, and you can see that they're bringing the cattle here into the bud box. This over here is the Daniels alley that goes straight away from this bud box. They shut the gate that comes even with the snake that they're wanting to bring. They move towards the cattle, and as they step towards the cattle go right around them, and they go right down the alley. So tub or bud box, both of them are very effective and can be utilized. There's a debate on which one you want to use, but I can tell you that both are adequate facilities and things that you can utilize to move cattle through. Okay, when we get to the point in time of the snake, one thing that we have to understand is the path in which we are going to move those cattle. And the way that you move cattle forward within the snake is shown here and depicted. You want to move against the flow of the cattle, and as you pass the point of the eye or the point of the shoulder, either one, as you move past the eye and the shoulder, these cattle are going to move forward. And if you want to slow the cattle down, you move with them. If you want to speed the cattle up, you move against the flow of the cattle in the direction that you want to go. Some of the things that we've utilized also to move cattle, some of these hydraulic chutes set off the ground. We've used expanded metal to build a ramp up into the chute. And things that we can do to improve traction, improve mobility of going up into the chute. When the cattle exit the chute, this is a good example of some rubber matting that you can place on the exit portion of this chute. These are found in many of your beef magazines, and you can look in ads and find people that are making these woven tire mats, and they're extremely good. Just because we use hot shots doesn't mean that we can use sorting sticks to crack cattle on the backs. And this is an example of cattle that have linear bruising from our using sorting sticks. So good animal handling is important. So we're going to do more on cattle handling as we move forward with DocTalk in the series. And I'll bring in some guests and show more facility pictures than that. Remember to always work with a veterinarian. If you want to know what we do here at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. Thanks for joining me today on DocTalk. It's been my pleasure to spend the morning with you, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.